tax is not paid in time, it is deemed to be a debt that you owe to government of Uganda, that government has actually lent you that money, and like any other loan, you pay back with interest, isn't it? So the interest that it accumulates is 2% per month, meaning that at the end of the year, this interest is 24%. So the cost of tax in any business is really high. Because remember, tax is residual in nature. It's an appropriation of income. It's after distributing your profits, we remove tax and then we share the others. So now what we are saying is that after getting that profit, give government 30% and then the 70% is yours. But as a country that is still developing, we still have so many challenges. Tax is compulsory, it's non-quid pro quo, meaning that you pay tax because the law requires you to pay. Of course, government has the social part of its contract to deliver on the services. But as you will note, because whatever we collect is not even sufficient to support government in all the social services that it provides. And it's the reason that we are all here to see how best can each one of us pay something small, contribute to this basket, so that at the end of the day, we have something that is fair. So as URA, we want to support our clients to comply. We want to make this tax cost as low as possible. Remember last year we had a waiver of window, where we were waiving penal taxes and interest for all principal taxes that were paid by 30th June 2023. Many taxpayers came through and were able to collect tax of about 500 billion. That was really good, and taxpayers were able to save principal tax and penalty of over $1 trillion, which was very good. We are considering extending that window, but as we engage government, you do your part and pay. There is a Jewish proverb which says, taxes grow even when there is no rain. So if you choose to engage to know about tax, it's really better. So just to thank you for coming here, taking the courage to come and learn tax is a very good step. And then you manage your business, you need to understand what taxes are applicable. Even when you import goods, what taxes are applicable. When you go to downtown, many business people only know customs taxes. They will just tell you taxes in customs are too high. They don't know that even after paying customs taxes, you come and invest in this business, and when you make profit, you pay domestic tax. They look at that now as a secondary obligation. But the tax is a 360. You must learn the entire cycle of tax and follow it up so that you can manage your profits well and manage your business well. I wish to thank you for coming and to thank specifically the President and the Chamber of Commerce team for organizing this event. These stakeholder meetings are taken very seriously by URA, and thank you so much. Let me invite our colleagues to come and do the presentation. We will sit with you and ask. Please feel free to ask questions. We shall be able to respond. Thank you so much. And if you need to do any follow-up, we shall give you the contacts and you will come and visit us. Thank you so much and wish you a good day. Let's support to grow our country, and let's make our country a proud country that we want to belong. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I think a lot has been said, but now we need to know what needs to be done.
Sorry, I've had to interfere in the program. I thought it was important to recognize every one of you, but single out those I know. And those I don't know, please forgive me. I see people from Mukwano. Is Mukwano here? Did I see Mukwano here? Did I see him? I thought he was. Sorry? He was. I also wish to recognize our board member, Madame Santa. That lady is from Moya, and she represents about 5,000 women groups. So when you are speaking to us, you are speaking to more than what you have in the room. And I thought I would mention that. I see some ladies, I know the faces, forgive me, but all in all, I wanted to single out Madame Santa, and once again welcome me, and also Factory for sending us such a huge senior team to join us this morning. Thank you, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So I think let's get right into the presentation. But I think one of the questions I've been asked today is to ask you in simple terms, what are the advantages of paying taxes? I'm sure this is going to be in your presentation, but me as a manufacturer, me as a trader, sometimes I do not understand the advantages. Yes, we pay, but your members need to know, simply put, what are the advantages, okay? And after this, we're going to have a Q&A, so be here and be seated, because after the presentation, we're going to get some fire from the audience. But thank you so much in advance. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank Mr. Kalibala for inviting me here, Madam President, and the board of the chamber, the senior management of URE, and distinguished taxpayers here. I'm very humbled to share with you the slides that we're going to have. I need to tell you in advance, my slides will be slightly more than those that you've seen, but that a bit responds to the issues that are many that have been addressed before, that we need to leave when we have end out in this meeting here. My name is Michael Masembe. I am the team lead for the tax education team at URA. We do a lot of work, but even when we do that much work, there is a lot of hunger for tax information, and we are here to address that. We want to thank the chamber for extending an invitation to the URA to give us this audience that we may share and talk about these issues, especially relating to the landscape. How is the regime for tax laid out? How does customs meet with domestic taxes? You meet a trader downtown, and they know, and they are very confident. They pay their tax because they have a trading license from KCCA. And they will tell you, I have sorted this business because they have a trading license from KCCA. So where is the gap? And that is what we're here to talk about. And I want to believe by the time we get out of this place, we will have a bit of, we may not have everything, but at least let's know where to find what. That becomes very important. I want to also start with a reference. There is a book that's been placed on your table, the Taxation Handbook. Please check it out. It is yours to take. It's a free copy. Part of what the taxes do, Mr. Kalibala. We have to give you this information. The Taxation Handbook is yours. It's a reference book. It summarizes in a very simplified tone what the tax regime is like in Uganda. And we have an information center just outside at the registration point. Just to give us that guidance. That registration point has other information, the incentive guide on what incentives are in which sector, just in case I miss out on anything in our discussion, you have somewhere to go when you are in the comfort of your own. So the URA, what are we doing? What is the work of the URA? Our sharing is going to be split in those 5 sessions about the URA. First, your obligations, and then what taxes do I pay, and then what should I expect from the URA, and how is the URA actually assisting me? Because at times, people don't know where to start on getting or applying for that exemption. Yet they know very well that there is a certain exemption that the law has given them, but they don't know how to access it. So we're going to be talking about this, and by the time we get out of here, you will find value in this meeting that the Chamber has convened to all, to the benefit of us all here. The URA, formed in 1991, has the job to assess, collect, and account for all revenue, tax and non-tax, as prescribed in the first schedule of the URA Act. The URA Act is it's not a very long document, but when you read within the mandate and then you go to the first schedule, there is a list of all these laws relating to tax that it is mandated to administer. And the administration is actually for the URA to put in place platforms where someone can do what they are expected to do. I'll give you an example. The first line says assess, to assess taxes on you. But you all know that it is you who files the tax return, and you assess yourself actually. So what URA does in helping you to fulfill this mandate is to create for you a platform, the website, where you assess yourself. It only becomes a URA assessment after we have received it. Okay? And then collect. How do we do that? We help to set up platforms for payment, or via the portal, via the bank, using your phone, and many other. And then account to make sure that within 24 hours, this money is with government. And then to you who has paid, that you get a notification that the money that you have paid, we have received. So that acknowledgement from the URA. And then we have the direction, strategic direction to cultivate a tax-paying culture through the provision of reliable services, leadership development, and building strategic partnerships. Culture, tax itself as a culture, is not a job that you may do within one day. But for you to get people into the rhythm of knowing that this is my obligation, you have to make it easy for them. So the reliability of our services, the readiness and the receptiveness of our staff in the various URA offices is very, very pivotal in building and giving momentum to the culture building process. And that is the mandate of URA. That is the direction. That is what keeps us thinking of the next things to do. And in doing that, we have a mission of mobilizing revenue for national development in a transparent, that is one knowing what to pay, where to pay, how much to pay, and knowing that I pay in the bank. There is transparency. You pay 1 million shillings, and it is 1 million shillings. And after URA has received it, the government actually receives 1 million shillings. And then efficiency of doing this is related to you just seated there, and you press *285 hash, and then you're able to pay money from where you're seated right now. Because that is what we are doing. That is efficiency. Minimize the cost on the taxpayer. They don't have to trek the long journey. That is efficiency. I mean, we are still on a journey, but that is the mission that drives us. And then the vision of being a transformational revenue service for Uganda's economic independence. You know the fraction under which we are funding the national budget. And it is not the picture that we would like to have. And therefore, we would like to, through the URA, work together with Ugandans to mobilize this revenue that is very much needed for our national development. For me, when I see any work that remains to be done, any challenges within our service, and any expectations from the government and public services, it is the motivation, the conversion of that want, that need, into the motivation to mobilize revenue for national development and give this nation the economic independence. And that is why that independence part is what drives us to the first pillar of our values as the Uganda Revenue Authority, that we need to be patriotic. Because the work that we do in the URA is not for self, but it is for the nation. Because we purpose to grow, to make the country independent. Patriotism, that I am doing it for my country. Integrity, that you will see me do right, that you will do right, but mainly for us, that you will see us do the right thing anytime, any day. And then professionalism in the way we do our work. Those are the pillars that drive us as an institution. And in doing that, we need, if I look at, and maybe take you a bit to the pillar of professionalism, how well do we assist taxpayers to know their rights? How well do taxpayers know their rights? Do taxpayers know that they can object? Do taxpayers know that they have a right to representation? Do taxpayers know that they can appeal to any decisions made by URA in an independent tribunal? Ladies and gentlemen, these are not things that we are just talking about. They are enshrined in the client service charter that the URA has committed itself to for the past over 10 years that I have been in the tax administration. This is a commitment to the service that we give the nation, that we will allow you these rights which are given to you by the tax law. Fair treatment for everyone, without giving an assessment to one which is higher than another person's, just because they look different, just because they come from different places, or anything of the kind. Fairness, as long as their circumstances are the same. The right to privacy and confidentiality. Your tax matters are private and confidential between you and the tax administration. So any information relating to your trade secrets or trade information that you may have to share with the tax administration, just to be transparent as required by the law, should not find their way in the public arena in any way. These are your rights given to you by the tax law. And then the journey to formalize your business. We would expect that first you register your business, incorporate It could be a company, it could be an enterprise where you get a business name, it could be a partnership. There are many ways in which, but the Uganda Registration Services Bureau provides these services to set you up, that we may know who you are and what you're going to be operating in. 2, come to the Uganda Revenue Authority and we will give you a tax identification number. And then 3, you may go to your licensing body, maybe your local municipality office. It could be, you can be in a different industry, maybe you are dealing with health or dealing with their respective regulators who will give you licensing to allow you to operate in that area. You get the licensing, which is permission for you to operate, and you are good to go. The basic formalization requirements have been met at that point. But allow me to talk about the obligations. That while we saw what your rights are, there are things that you are expected to do as a taxpayer. 1, registration with the URA to get a tax identification number. And this registration is not when you register, but when you ought to have registered. So you may come to the URA today to register, but we may ask, when did you actually start this business? And then we will go back to that point and ask you, this is when you ought to have registered, and then we will ask you to make your registration. But then talking about registration, people tend to leave it at that point, that I got a TIN. Has your phone number changed? Has your email changed? Have you gone out of business? There is that element of amendment. If anything changes about your business, please come and update and praise the URL. I will give a scenario. We enter 2019, maybe 18, and you're into wholesale retail. Come COVID, you go back to the village and you switch business to agriculture. But you've not appraised the URA, updated your record with the URA that you have switched from trade to agriculture. And then as you get your things around, yes, I want to import this tractor. And I've been told the Commissioner of Customs and the team there can allow you some exemptions on taxes paid by people importing tractors. And you've seen some people benefit from this. So you bring your tractor. But when it reaches maybe our borders, for us the register has you as a trader. But because the right and the exemption is given to people who are operating in agriculture. But the registration with the URA has you as a trader. I don't know whether you're moving with me here. So usually when certain things change, you may need to update the URA. Your registration needs to remain accurate. Okay? Such that we know exactly what you are dealing with. There are priority sectors that the government has given certain incentives, and your registration usually places you where you are, and the benefits go to those particular sectors. Of course, some spread, but there are priority sectors that have been gazetted to kickstart this country, and your registration needs to reflect as such. Submission of declarations to the URA. Declare, even when it is a zero, even when it is a loss, please show. Because the losses you went through during COVID, nobody knows. And so you may not tell me about those losses if they were not declared. They will appear to be fabricated if they were not in your own declarations. So show, report, declare the URA. But that declaration is premised on records. So do you keep good records? And when I'm talking about records, dear distinguished taxpayers, remember we have brought in place the electronic fiscal receipt and invoicing solution. For persons who may be under the value-added tax regime, the IFRS solution is where you are expected to transact. So you issue your electronic invoices through this system, and you also are expected to purchase and expense through the IFRS system. So for record keeping, we have aligned it that way. But for other operators who may not be on the value-added tax head under that regime, keep records. And these records, let them be accurate, let them be readable. Have you ever seen notes that you also can't read? Okay? At least let's keep the records readable, preferably in English, because that is what the law has asked us, that the records need to be kept in English. And where you may not keep them in English, engage with the URL that I'm going to keep my records in the language that I understand. But when it comes to the URL checking out those documents, if at any time the URL may need, then the URL will ask you that these records are translated to English, but that will come at your cost. Okay? So let's keep the records. We are required to keep the records for at least 5 years from the current year financial year that we are operating, such that there is good reference. One thing I know about records, they are your best defense on any tax decision that may be made in your business. And the accuracy of returns and the correctness and the timeliness. Today is 6th. We ended the month of February. We have 9 days left to file returns for the month of February. Monthly returns. I'm talking about monthly returns. Let's make those declarations and pay the taxes that may come out of those, if any, for taxes like VAT, withholding tax. We'll talk about them going forward. And then, if you realize you're not able to file the returns in time, the law has still allowed you to file for extension, because 15th of March may be so near and you're not ready. You write and go to the URL web portal and ask to extend the return due date. You ask to extend the return due date, and it will be allowed with credible reasons. I am unavailable, you could give the reason, and it will be checked, and it may be allowed within, because it is your right within, and then paying the taxes as required by the law. But we have had a journey from 2018 where we had around 1.4 million taxpayers, and with the introduction of tools and the enhancement of our processes, the tax register has grown to 1.5 million in 2019, 1.7. Right now, we are around 4 million taxpayers. But this is against the expected around 10 million people who may be in active income-generating activities in the country. So this still tells us the journey is still a long way to go, but we are on track, working with you and assisting people to see that we make accurate any record that we have inside the register, to make sure that the burden of paying tax does not rest on a few shoulders, but anyone who has a little to pay, let them make that little contribution, that we spread the weight of it. At present, we can everyone who is involved in income-generating activities in the tax contribution cycle. And this is how we have been performing. Looking at 2019, 18-19, where we were making approximately 18 million as mobilization from Ugandans to tax, and growing it to around 19 trillion in 2020-2021, and then 21 trillion in 2021-22, and to date, in the previous financial year, when Ugandans were generous, and they contributed 25.2 trillion in taxes. This is unprecedented. We want to applaud the Ugandans who have contributed to this, and we want to appreciate, because like the acting commissioner general indicated, tax is not easy. Not for the taxman and not for the taxpayer. But when people are able to pick a bit of what they have and contribute to their country, we cannot forget to appreciate that. So we want to thank you very much for your generosity to your country, and we would like to ask you to keep we would like to ask you to keep the momentum going and tap on the neighbor and tell them this is our country, we need to run it. Yes, it's our country, we need to run it, and it's only the revenues that can lead us to that. In the year we are running, we have a target of 29 trillion, and we are optimistic that we will get there. But we know that it is only a thriving business that can pay this tax. And that is why we always have this sentiment that we don't have tax wage out of business, but for the little that you can pay, make a contribution, so we have you this year, next year, and then we grow this revenue as your business grows. What taxes do I have to pay? What taxes do I have to pay? Now, the list of the taxes collected inside the country is here. Domestic taxes. But it doesn't mean that you pay everything. These taxes relate to how you are laid out. It is not that you pay every tax that you see here, but what you did, what do you do, then the tax. So for corporations and non-individual entities, the tax rate is 30%. For individuals who earn income which is above 2,820,000 a year, the tax can be 10%. First it is zero if you're below 2,820,000. Then as your income grows, it also grows to 10%. And when your income as an individual grows further, it grows to 20%. There is a computation that is involved, and we can look at that maybe at a later time. But this is a progressive. It's a progressive regime of 10%, 20%, 30%, and an additional 10%, which makes it practically a 40% on persons who earn over 120 million in a year. Okay. And then we have, knowing that we have certain operators in the country who may not be as sophisticated to compute the profitability of their business, but they're able to tell the turnover of their business. There is a simplified regime for them, which is called the presumptive tax regime. The regime is based on turnover, not on profitability, but on turnover. If your turnover is below 10 million, that is 0 to 10, there is no tax to pay. But if it is above, then there is tax to pay, from 80,000 to 200,000 to 400,000 and so on, until we reach 150 million. So the turnover tax regime, which is the presumptive tax regime, is for those who are in small business category. But now it has exclusions. I need to talk about those professionals. If you are an accountant and you're in here, you can't be a presumptive. If you are a lawyer, you can't be a presumptive tax regime operator. You cannot be within that. Public entertainers, there are exclusions and exceptions to this. And that is how it operates. And then we have the pay-as-you-earn category. I think this operates the same way like the individual income tax. Only that the pay-as-you-earn regime has been broken down to a monthly salary, like people who earn salary arrangement. So that is where it operates. Put to a month, this is a salary earner who starts at 235,000. That is where you start to pay. That's where you start to pay tax. Then we have rental income tax at a rate of 12% on individuals, and then at a rate of 30% for companies. But companies may be allowed a deduction of not beyond 50% of their expenses, while individuals are allowed the threshold of 2,820,000. Capital gains tax, value added tax at 18%, 0%, or the exempt category, and the local excise duties that may be payable on specific manufactured goods, imports, or certain services. We can also look at those in detail at a later time. Then we have the withholding taxes. Withholding taxes are taxes at source that the payer who is paying you certain money withholds, stays with some money and remits it to the URA on your behalf. You could have supplied goods or services to the government. You could have made payments to foreign operators. You could have delivered professional and management services, the people who deal in banking and insurance agency, and elements of the kind. Withholding taxes work in that form. Some of these withholding taxes can be used as tax credits to reduce on your tax payable at the end of the year. And we can also look at that. Then, when you are dealing in international business, you're importing or exporting, you may also be required to pay import duty. There is import VAT. There is environmental levy, infrastructure levy. We have particular export levies on particular items that may be leaving the country. There is withholding tax and local excise duties still applying on those items that we see also chargeable for local excise duty in the domestic arrangement. I talked about this, what one needs to basically to attend to when they are dealing with the Uganda Revenue Authority. 1, register and get a tax identification number. 2, keep proper records. 3, make your declarations to the URA. And 4, pay your taxes. There are other expectations, of course, to cooperate with the Uganda Revenue Authority when any information is required, updating us when you may be leaving the country, so we know that whatever is happening is not a mistake, but you are aware of what's going on inside your business. Why are we saying this? Because imagine a gentleman who was operating a saloon in Chireka and he left for Dubai. The team is still active, but the gentleman is out of the country, and the URA is not aware. So ideally what may result is he does not file returns, and assessments may be generated against those periods when he has not filed returns. The circumstances are different, where you update the URA that for this period my business may not be active, or I am having someone standing in to operate this business. That kind of arrangement, it gets us to know what's happening that side, and that gets me to the point of emphasizing that regular interaction and dialogue with URA is important, because the taxman, the taxwoman will be there, and the business also needs to exist if there is to be any value from the taxman. When do I make my declarations to the Uganda Revenue Authority? Now, we have declarations that may be weekly, may be monthly, may be quarterly, may be half year or end of year. Now, these vary, but particularly for this audience, allow me to focus on these, and maybe we can talk about the others if need be. Withholding taxes, I talked about those. This is tax on various goods and services, and it is paid, or it's accounted for by the person who is making the payment. So we are going to make a scenario of you supplying stationery to Makerere University. It's you supplying to Makerere University stationery of 1 million shillings, or let's say 10 million shillings. So when you supply to Makerere University stationery of 10 million shillings, they will withhold 6%. That 6% is your tax paid to URA in advance. But it is Makerere University that is going to account, and they will show us, I withheld 600,000, okay, from Chamber of Commerce who supplied me stationery. And that money will be brought to URA on your behalf. It appears, therefore, as though you have paid your 600,000 already to the URA. And so at the end of the year, if you have tax to pay of 1 million, you will only have to pay 400,000 because the other 600,000 was already paid on your behalf by the person who withheld from you. So who accounts? It is Makerere University that shows us. But the actual payer is you, okay, of this tax, because the other person only accounted, whereas you were supposed to receive 10 million, you did not get the what? The 10 million. You got 9.4. I want to imagine it is around that. Then pay as you earn the same way. It is taxed on the employee's payments, but it is your employer who accounts to URA, and it is considered to be paid by you, the employee, because it was a deduction. You have a salary of 1 million shillings. As an employee, you'll get a letter, dear Masembe Michael, we've appointed you, your salary is 1 million shillings. But there is pay as you earn on that money of 202,000. So you have paid that, and it is accounted for every 15th. So it means that if we ended the month of February on 29th, before 15th March ends, you're expected as an employer to report that money to URA and account for it. Then we have individual income tax and income tax on non-individuals. These may be companies, they may be trusts, or entities of that kind. This is taxed on incomes or profits made from the business. It could be rental income or anything, any income generated of the kind. And it is accounted for by the person who has made that income, and it is paid by that particular person. There is, when this company is a non-individual, and this provisional tax, if it is to be provisional, where you estimate what you project to make. If you're a non-individual, this income tax is the first provisional return and payment is expected before the first 6 months of your year elapse. So if we are running the financial year, then it means you don't have to go beyond 6 months before that financial year elapses. The financial year of the government is from July to June, and therefore in this case we would have before 31st December. But you are allowed the window to always make amends, changes, going by the dynamics in your business to make sure that you project the correct image of your business your business expected income, such that you do not get into a window of projecting or under projecting. Now we have the turnover, the presumptive tax, which is taxed on your turnover, your sales, your business. This is the next item there. And it is you, a resident taxpayer, you, the operator of the business. You may be an individual or a company. And this is paid, if you do not pay it within the first 6 months, then an assessment will be made to you. Okay, so you're given the first 6 months in which to make that declaration, and then you pay it to the Uganda Revenue Authority, and yours is sorted for the whole year. With me, the machine here is not working very well. The other return that I look at here is the value-added tax return. This, we may be very aware of it. For value-added tax, we refer to people who deal in turnover. If I make it a daily estimation, if you make sales in a day that tune up to 410,000, but going by the stipulation, if you make sales that hit 37.5 million in 3 months, when we are in this month of March, And when you look at Feb, Jan, and December, and when you total the sales you made, they sum up to 37.5 million. That is for Feb, Jan, and December, 3 past months. Then you are eligible for value-added tax. If you deal in items that are value-added tax chargeable. If, again, you check that March, April, May also tune, the first one is retrospective of 3 months, summing up to 37.5. The other may be prospective. We could be here and you're there seated with the tender. You already have the LPO of above 37.5 million or more. And the supplies involve VAT supplies. You are already eligible for value-added tax, and you are expected to do your registration with the URA. You just go to the URA website and make your amendment if you already have a TIN, and file the tax return with the URA. So that is the other return that I think we need to put focus on as business operators. You'll allow me, this machine is not responding anymore. So one thing I needed to emphasize is, one thing I needed to emphasize is that the timeline for filing these tax returns is usually the same timeline to pay the tax. So when we say you need to pay by 30th June, it automatically follows that that's the time when you are expected to file, to make your payments to the bank. It could be the bank, you could use your mobile money or the online payment platforms that are provided, but that is the timeline. One thing I also needed to make mention of, that after I have talked about the tax obligations that you need to attend to, there are certain cautions that are available for you, both in the domestic taxes and in the customs regime. There are cautions that have been made for you as an operator of business, as a person dealing into any enterprise in the country. We need to check out the incentives that are available, incentives that have been made specifically. If you look at depreciable assets, we need to look at the treatment of expenses that we deal in, losses encountered in the business, training and scientific expenditure, and many others that we need to really appreciate if we are to reduce on the tax burden, grow our businesses, employ more people, and where we have not paid income tax, we collect it from our employees or through value-added taxes, because that is the intent of the regime. There are also incentives that can come to you for particular sectors. We may look at certain sectors. If you're in hotel and tourism, if you're in ICT, if you are in telecommunication, if you are into education, health, those particular sectors have been gazetted, and there are particular incentives that are in there for you, people who deal into the export. There are certain incentives that have been put in for you to a tune of applying for tax holidays that can stretch for 10 years. And it can be to your benefit. But of course, there are requirements that qualify you for these that we need to appraise ourselves on. But that notwithstanding, we need to know that this exists and it has been designed in the same tax law that collects from us, and it is the same law that is giving back to us. And I would encourage you to take advantage of them, because their intent is to uplift your enterprise such that in the next year you have the capacity maybe to pay more tax. We have other arrangements that are available that we are putting in place to assist taxpayers to comply with their obligations. I will point out number one, alternative dispute resolution. We have had some of the players in the market, and they have been in court with the URA for long. And there is a window for settlement of some of the misunderstandings or the disputes with the URA out of court. Let us apply for this facility and let's use it, because many people are using it and it is reducing the stress that ideally would be existing between the taxpayer and the tax collector. So the alternative dispute resolution mechanism is available. Go to the Uganda Revenue Authority, ura.go.ug. When you click on the domestic taxes button, you will see the procedures on how to go around the alternative dispute resolution mechanism. If we are here and maybe there is what hasn't been done in terms of the obligations that I've hinted on, there is a voluntary disclosure facility. The Tax Procedures Code, section 66(1)A, has given the commissioner the authority to engage with taxpayers and resolve certain, are they misdemeanors? I don't know, I don't want to use the wrong word, but any non-compliance that you could have done, and you tell the commissioner that I did not pay rental tax for this particular period, yet I ought to have paid. Okay? You come and we fill this form and we agree that yes, you did not pay, and we sign that the principal will be paid and all the other matters will look aside, and we start a new page. The commissioner said here, tax grows even when you don't water it. And ideally, that is how things may be. But you see, a tax regime that doesn't give people a way out or a way to make things right, and it is on the punitive, can also be prohibitive if you're not very, very keen. So these facilities have been laid in there to the advantage of our people. We have the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution. I think about the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution. With permission, I will invite my colleague Hafsa to talk about it and the digital tracking solution. But these facilities have been put in place to assist us to address some of the gaps that are existing in our operating environment. I will also take you to some of the interventions that we have done to assist our people. We have implemented, if you have traveled across our borders, we have set up one-stop border posts where we have multiple government agencies in one place. Go to Busia, go to Malaba, go to Gatuna, go to Mirama Hills, go to Elegu. We are opening up Swam River very, very soon to make sure that the experience and the interaction with regulators that our importers and exporters have, it's a sequenced and it's a one instance interaction. You engage with all government agencies in one place to save the time of the businessman as they take their merchandise to their destination, to the market. So these one-stop border posts that the government has put up with support of certain other partners have been intent on helping you have a speedy travel and through your business value chain. We have the single customs territory. We are having presence across the entire East Africa. You will find our teams in Dar es Salaam, you will find our teams in Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Eldoret, Nakuru, and this is to have support and assistance extended even beyond what you may consider Uganda's borders. Our traders, as far as that, our commission has teams there and senior management there to attend just to you when you are not within Uganda's borders. The non-intrusive inspection, to save us the time. We've had, I don't know, this machine has acted up. I would have shown you a bit of this. Facilities that enable us to check you and confirm what you are bringing in without necessarily taking you through the laborious process of open this, let's check that, okay? It is to the good of everyone that we save time, and we are making all these facilities available to make it easy for you. We have the Authorized Economic Operator Program. This program, I would encourage everyone in here to subscribe to the program. Just show you have good intent and show that you have a history of good intent, that you always declare proper, you pay your properly, you pay all your taxes in time, and everything that would be expected from you by the taxman. And where you do this, we can have you designated as an authorized economic operator, where you have that preferential treatment. When you have consignments coming in, they have a seamless travel and passage through the borders, minimal checks, and we can check even when we get the items to your premises. The regional electronic cargo tracking system to monitor cargo as it transits through from the Mombasa, through our territories, across all our partners. And this is to assist us that there is no dumping. Because goods that are not destined for Uganda, if they are dumped in Uganda, it distorts the trade terrain. People pay taxes, they had their goods in Uganda. You didn't pay taxes, but you're having your goods in Uganda. It's where you find someone selling an item at 10,000 because they pay taxes, and another one is selling it at half the price. At times, those distortions happen because of those gaps, and we have these systems in place just to address that. We have put in place a support tool, the URA contact center, that we know will assist to address the pains that you may have remotely, in case you need to engage with us on WhatsApp, in case you need to engage with us on Twitter, on all the other digital platforms that may be available. Permit me, sir, to invite my colleague Hafsa for 5 minutes to tell us about the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, because many of our people are very aware. Thank you very much. Hafsa, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, dear clients. Good morning. Hafsa Sebia is my name. I do tax literacy in URA. I make sure we walk the journey together, the compliance journey, so that it can be a smoother journey while we develop Uganda together. My task is very simple. Giving you an insight on the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution. This is not a tax type. This is a smart application that we rolled out on the 1st of July, 2020. And there were reasons why we felt we needed to. Because at that time we were in COVID, and we relied more on the imports, and they were not coming through because of what you all know. So under the domestic revenue mobilization strategy, we needed to think smart to see how the nation could move while getting taxes. So that's why we rolled out the domestic revenue, the IFRIS, under the domestic revenue mobilization strategy. It is a smart application that will help you, one, store your inventory online on the system, issue that e-receipt, issue that e-invoice at your comfort anywhere. And at the end of the day, we're trying to mitigate the leakages in the tax type called VAT. So that's why I say it's not a tax type. It is meant to help us monitor and manage VAT collections. So when we rolled it out on the 1st of July, 2020, we took 6 months in training, teaching, but intentional with those that are VAT registered. Because when you look in the tax law, that is the Tax Procedures Code of 2014, Section 73A, it is clear that the Minister gazetted VAT registered clients to use the system mandatorily. The rest could or could not. So on the 1st of January 2021, we went live with IFRIS, implying that all our returns were triggered to that. All our returns were triggered to that. So when we rolled it out, we had different channels that we put in place. One, we put the invoicing under the web portal. Two, for those who may not be, for those who may not manage using the web portal, we introduced electronic fiscal devices. These are devices that look like a point-of-sale machine, mostly for manufacturers who do root sales. And we have accredited a vendor called Run Consult to help in the sales, the maintenance, and everything pertaining electronic fiscal device. A device goes for 1.1 million, and at the end of the day, when you're filing your income tax return, it is an allowable expense when you're preparing your books of returns. Then we moved on and rolled out the system-to-system integration. We went ahead to accredit software integrators. When you go to our portal page, there is an improvement in the appearance of the portal page. Look for where domestic taxes is. As you put the cursor there, you will check out a word called IFRIS. Under IFRIS, you will just click on it. It has a full menu where you can get the list of software integrators. The choice is yours to choose whom you want to work with. But at the end of the day, we signed an MOU with each of those integrators to see how best they can do what we expect of them. And apparently now, if this is shooting into VAT, and we have a web-based form, we did away with the Excel return in November last year. Why did we do that? It's very simple. It's a pre-filled return. Because when we rolled out IFRIS, our promise is to avail a pre-filled return. We are trying to reduce the cost of doing business. Whoever was feeling for that VAT return, we are now doing it. If all your operations or activities are on IFRIS, it's very simple. Your sale is somebody else's purchase, your purchase is one sale. So when one initiates, we populate your return. We populate the return in the course of the month. In case you handle any activities under customs on a SCUDA, we still migrate the data onto your return. So by the end of the day, the end of the month, the last date of the month is the last day you can view this return. Then after the month expires, on the first day of the following month, you are free to submit. Your work is to log on, confirm the activities, the transactions, then submit. With this, we'll be reducing on the penalties of late filing for VAT. If this is very simple, it's intentional, those letters are intentional. E is for electronic, because you're going to use an electronic gadget. F is fiscal, the transaction you're handling has a tax component. R is receipting, and this can only be done by clients who are not VAT registered. Whenever you see an e-receipt, it implies there is no 18% component. I is for invoicing, only those who are VAT registered. That's where you find the 18% VAT component. It is a solution that came to mitigate the challenges we are seeing. But still under that, we have the EDCs that we are about to roll out. That's the electronic dispenser controller. These are going to help us manage the fuel stations. Moving on to the digital tracking solution, that is a solution that we rolled out on the 1st of November 2019. It is meant to address excisable items to make sure that there is a track and trace mechanism from importation, from the manufacturer into the market. When we had rolled it out, we started with 6 items. That is bottled water, soda, beer, wines, spirits, and cigarettes. Then in 2021, we added 2 more, and that is sugar and cement. In 2022, we added 5 more. That is non-alcoholic drinks other than the ones we had there, alcoholic drinks other than the ones we had there. There we brought in the kombuchas in the market. Then we have cooking oil, we have fermented beverages. So all in all, we have about 13 items that are meant to be stamped. A stamp can be encoded like the bottle you have. When you look on the lid, you will see some codes there. Those are digital tax stamps. For those who have automated production lines, those who don't have complete automated production lines, we have the paper stamps. You buy the stamp from a vendor called SIGPA, you make an order online, you upload your product online so that they can know which kind of stamp they are going to make for you, and ensure that you stamp it with the right stamp. There are penalties enshrined in Section 19B of the Tax Procedures Code in case you interchange the stamps. Every stamp has its cost. And at the end of the day, when you're filing your income tax return, this is an expense that we do allow. Thank you very much. I was given only 5 minutes.
I think another round of applause. Thank you so much, I love the submission. It was simple, it was straight to the point, and I think we gained a lot out of this. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a panel discussion, and we're going to have a number of panelists going through some nitty-gritties and firing back some questions to URA. But through you, Madam President, I also have some quick questions that I ask URA, just 5 of them, before we go into the panel discussion. Because these ones affect me directly as a manufacturer, and I may be harsher than my moderator, so allow me, through the protection of my president, to ask only 5 questions, after which we shall go straight into the moderation, and then from there we shall have a more broader picture. So, number 1, our tax regimes. Every year we have basically a new tax regime. Even when we benchmark off other countries, people have 2, 3 years, 5 years. But first, every year we are supposed to adopt. Is this really sustainable? There may be reason for that, but this is one of my questions. Why do we have to have a tax regime basically every year? It is not sustainable, and even what you're doing here, it becomes more cumbersome to teach and teach every year. Yet if we plan out 3 to 5 years, it means that is more sustainable, because cost of business as a manufacturer affects us very much. I think I'm preaching to the choir here. Number 2, these audits of every quarter. Is this really realistic? Again, us who may have been lucky enough to have traveled, people have audits every year or every half a year. Why do we have audits every quarter of the year? It's a bit unrealistic. Again, it goes back to the word sustainability and cost of business. Actually, I had this conversation with a URA member 2 weeks ago, and they had to just say, you know, we get this information from finance, but just implement it. We do not set policy. But we're here to ask those questions, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3. I manufacture, or our company manufactures electric switchgear and transformers. We're lucky enough to be the oldest manufacturer of transformers in the country. As Ugandans, we have a lot of foreigners, but as Ugandans, we are the first. And those who want to clap for me can clap for me, because we're doing something for Bubu. But every time we import components which feed into our transformers, URA does not have a database for these taxes. We do know that in the law that when we import raw materials, they shouldn't be taxed. But because of the lack of, specificity at customs, we are given tax for raw materials. Actually, we have gone ahead to say even we're working with UNBS to ensure that we have more competent specialists at UNBS to understand what we're doing. Do we have a department like that in URA? If URA does not understand what a raw material is or what a part for a transformer is, do we have steps been taken? Because what we're doing with UNBS is a way that they approach us as people in the industry. We have a technical committee. We do not get paid, but we're there to provide information. Is this something URA has done or planning to do? Because if we are to grow, we can't work as an island. So maybe there may be answers to this. I do not know, but URA is going to answer. And Madam President, my last question is this. What steps is URA taking to increase the tax base? What am I saying? It's like a cow. If you have one cow, you milk breakfast, lunch, and supper. This cow cannot survive. But if you have 10, 20, it means the pressure is spread across. So this may have been hinted upon, but just ask the members of URA in the House. Is there something being done to ensure that we increase the tax base, to ensure that we as people who are paying taxes, who are very compliant, can know that we are not going to take the burden of everyone, but there is hope for the future. So, Madam President, I would like these humble four questions to be tacked upon, and we'll go straight into the panel, because the panel is going to bring in so many more questions, but I thought I would set the pace for other questions to be asked. Okay, so humbly, I've asked the hard questions, but I don't want to be here to receive the harsh answers. So I am going to ask the moderator of the oncoming panelists to stand in my shoes, to both receive the answers to these questions, but also guide us through the next session. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our moderator is our legal advisor at UNCCI. She was also lucky enough that she's the immediate past president of the Uganda Law Society. So ladies and gentlemen, you see, I think the clap can be louder than that. Ladies and gentlemen, why we afford a lawyer to be here is that for legal protection. But the system is still low, ladies and gentlemen. The moderator is a board member at the East African Business Council. Again, we can clap for that. And last but not least, she is a managing partner at Zambia and Navasa and Company Advocates. Okay? Again, we can clap for this. So, all the harsh comments must be directed to me, but she's going to moderate them. So, with those beginning questions, let's jump into that, and then she'll take us forward into the panelists. You can also clap for me as I'm going away. I think I've set the pace. Thank you.
Please give it up for our board director, Mr. Stephen Kalibala. Stephen, you've done me a solid. One of my panelists representing the manufacturers is actually absent, so today you have filled those big shoes. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite our commissioners, if one of them can come and answer our hard questions before I invite the panelists. And thank you, Stephen, for that introduction. Please give it up for the commissioner.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for these are very good questions. Our tax regime changes every year. That is true. But we are also aware of it and we are on it. apparently since COVID, we have been slow on new tax laws. We have been really slow. Whatever we bring on board is really trying just to streamline the tax law or set some clarity in the law. Maybe the new areas where we have tapped is the non-resident service providers of electronic services, like the likes of Google, Amazon, Facebook, Uber, people who do businesses here virtually. But we are trying to tap into that. So there is VAT for business to consumer. Final consumer, 18% of the transaction value. Then we also introduced last year withholding tax at 5% on the transaction value. We are getting money from these people. That is part of widening the tax base. If you looked at Mr. Masembe's presentation, the tax register is growing over the period. And it's also a direction towards expanding the tax base. And we are cognizant of the fact that every Ugandan must really contribute. And every taxpayer, the non-citizens who come here to do business must also contribute, both residents and non-residents. So we have not reached there yet, but we are very aware and we want this tax burden to be spread. Once it is spread, then we can even think of reducing tax rates so that we are able to make the taxpayer comfortable. Because if you feel that this tax state is too heavy for the commercial dog, like you said, the cash cow, then it can make the business struggle. Audits every quarter. We are also aware of this, and now what we've done is to liaise with customs, the Commissioner for Domestic Tax, but initially we would have domestic tax have their own audits scheduled, they go to the taxpayer. After a month, customs is coming. After another month, tax investigation comes. Now what we are doing is we are now harmonizing. If DT is already there, then we tell customs, you wait. Don't come now, maybe you can come next year. Or, if it has not started, then we do it as a one-stop. We shall have someone from customs, someone from DT. And then also, if tax investigation is investigating something, then we will not have DT and customs do the same. No one really wants a taxman to knock all the time. We are people who are not very welcome. No one likes a taxman, isn't it? Every time to knock. So surely we are on it, we are aware of this. But the other thing which I would also clarify is the fact that as we automate, we try to do a lot of communication online. And then again, automation has created a lot of transparency. If you recall what Hafsa was presenting on IFRIS. Now, as you print that electronic invoice, on real-time URL will see you've made this sale to taxpayer B or to customer B. Now, because we have visibility of that, when you file a return, we quickly come back to you and say, no, we are actually expecting 100 million, but you've only filed 50. Now, sometimes those small queries that come monthly are construed to be audits. And like I told you, if every time URA is queried, taxpayers get irritated, and we are really aware of that. But on audits, we want to make sure we don't come all the time to your doorstep. We want to give you time to concentrate on your business and make profits so that you are able to pay tax. So on the steps to increase the tax base, we are really on it. We are trying to go to everywhere. These days, there is a lot of money up country. If you go up country now, people no longer walk, they want to use a border. They even take bread, blue band. They have better houses than ours here in Kampala. There are even arcades. I was surprised in Arua there is an arcade. So there is money up country. So we are following that money up country. we are following. We have those farmers who are not being taxed and they invest in real estate, they must pay that tax. So we are in that. I don't know, there was something on customs. Maybe let me invite my colleague. Thank you so much.
Please give it up for Madam Commissioner, Commissioner Abel. Please give him a big hand clap. I hope you'll also throw some light. Madam Commissioner, you talked about the fact that you're reducing the quarterly audits. Is there a timeline? When can we expect these to end as you refine your...
Thank you. Abel Kagule is my name, Commissioner Customs. I think I'll address myself to the question on importation of raw materials for manufacturers. Madam President, we have two options. We have a common external tariff. And this common external tariff has all items that have ever been imported, and they have codes. What has been happening with our manufacturers that they want to bring these parts different. So when you bring a transformer separate, you bring a panel separate, you bring a wire separate, you bring this separate, you bring a nut separate, the system recognizes them as separate items. So it will classify you like that. Some pay, others don't pay. But where we find your line, you cannot, for example, have a line without a panel, can't have a line with a cable, you don't have a line with this. You bring us your drawings and show us how your plant is going to be structured. And that's why he said you engage us, and then we say, wow, this is how it looks like. Without this, it cannot produce anything. Then we treat it differently in terms of classification. Because you want to bring one part in January, you bring another one in June, you bring another one in December or next year. You say, this is meant for this is meant for... You confuse the taxman. You're confusing, because there are those who are in Chiembe are bringing the same and selling to other Ugandans. So for if you're a manufacturer, give us those drawings, give us what is required, you will be treated in a different way. But there is also a component of duty remission. Even those which pay, and even if you squeeze and do this and you have to pay according to the nomenclature, you apply for duty remission. And is that provision under the customs law? So we remit the payment of duty for you as a manufacturer to 0%, because that is your input, that is your raw material, and it's at 0%. But if there is a specific case that you are stuck with, Director, please, I am there for you. I'll address it the way it comes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner. My director, are you satisfied with this question? Okay, comme si, comme ça. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are at Uganda National Chamber of Commerce and Industries, and we've had breakfast. I want to invite you as we go into the panel, just slip out outside there. There's a special Ugandan branch, Katoko. So if you feel the breakfast has already been digested, you're very welcome. Yes? Commissioner, you want to say something? Yes.
Thank you. There is something he raised which we are trying to dodge a bit, but I think we can talk about it. The policy issue, the number one. Why we are not serious on answering it, because we are not policy people. We implement policy. We implement policy, but we advise on policy. And that's why when we advise and our advice is not taken, I saw something, advocacy, policy, and structural representation. So when you advise and maybe sometimes your advice is not taken, you implement it as it comes. Because the policy people know what they are looking at and what parameters they looked at. Like there is something we are not comfortable with, the current policy on textiles and garments. It's a bit disturbing the traders. I know some of you are manufacturers, but they're also traders. They feel paying in kilo is not fair. It raises taxes for textiles and fabrics. And I think why it is a bit unfair to them, they say in Kenya it is at 35%. In Tanzania it is 35%. Rwanda, and we are here, for us we are putting Cotton specific to pay $3.5 per kilo or $3 per kilo. So in a way, it's not fair to us as Uganda. Yes, we are trying to protect some of you manufacturers who are producing some of these, but we've advised the Ministry of Finance on that issue, and they have said, okay, out of the 522 textiles and garments that are imported in Uganda, how many are our manufacturers producing? And we went back. We met these manufacturers. We found they are producing about 47 tariff lines. Though not in big quantities, but at least they are producing out of 500. So the ministry reversed that and said, okay, collect specific rate on only those 47. So when we started collecting on the 47, those who bring in t-shirts came and said, but why have you left us there? But we found that we have factories which produce t-shirts. So they are the most people who are now complaining after removing the other one. But if there are others, maybe we'll get to know and we'll continue to advise on policy. The ministry is always listening, especially when it impacts revenue collection and it affects us as we do collection. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will bring a case to your table of curtains. Yes, because we have some clients who are suffering with curtains. They fall in that category. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to invite my panelists as you partake of the brunch. The way you are having the breakfast, quietly, just speak it and come here. No one will judge you. To represent the traders, as Chamber of Commerce, we have a very varied membership, so we've just picked out a few people to represent you, but later on we'll have a Q&A, so just pen down your questions if you have any. The traders are represented by Mr. Barnabas Kisa, who works in the technology sector. Is he around? Yes, please give him a big hand clap as he takes his seat. We've organized a seat there for you. We also have since Barnabas represents the technology sector, our technology sector needs about 2 minutes to make sure the panel is well visualized. So please feel free to walk out now and get your katogo. The agribusiness is represented by our director, Madame Santa Joyce Lake, who has also served as the Vice President, Uganda Women Entrepreneurs Association. Please give her a big hand clap. All the way from Noya. I also found there. So, we have, for services, we have a consultant, Mr. Twebaze Brown. I think you'll know him. Mr. Brown Twebaze? Oh, sorry, I couldn't see you because of the light. Thank you very much. That's our distinguished panel, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are going to have them make certain presentations. I don't know whether the tech team is okay now. Please don't mind them. They're going to make a few movements, yes? Yes, so I'm giving you 5 minutes to just step out and network a bit and come back with your food. I insist you take this food. When I was 16 years old, if I might give you a joke, there used to be a program on TV called Echitovero. I think it was Sheraton, right? And it was my dream to eat Luombo at Sheraton. So on my 16th birthday, when my parents asked me what I wanted, I said I want luombo from Sheraton. Unfortunately, I had never eaten luombo. It was the most boring meal. But I'm telling you that at 4 points, Sheraton, I'm sure that the category is to die for. So please step out, give us 3 minutes, and then you come back for our panel. Thank you, ladies.
My OXC is sesame, Africa knows it as simsim, and then the shea nut. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my dear sister, the president of UCCI, for inviting me once again to come and network with each one of you. My business is fairly traditional because simsim and shea nut is a household name in the north, but it's an international product. So if you want to have a good skin, you want to have a strong, energetic lifestyle, don't miss to have those products in your menu. And let it also be your household product. Many people want to be brown. For me, I don't like it unless I'm born brown like my sister, my president. But I love to be black because it actually means black. And second, I want to thank God that today I have one appreciation to make to URA because they did something very good for me and for my community. I chair two very big cooperative societies. Of course, one is becoming defunct because we are no longer outgrowers of sugarcane, because the industry that is doing sugarcane in the north has got enough land for herself. So they don't really need outgrowers. But that doesn't mean the cooperative is staying. We diversify ourselves. We are in for other products, like we are growing rice massively, and we are in for other grains. And then besides, I also chair, actually share cooperative society, and these two cooperatives have got very many members, over 17,000, but I just find myself being among them. And I want National Chambers of Commerce to take over them from me because I'm in my afternoon time, almost going to my evening. So you need to take over. Now that I'm a member of the board, I'll try my best. What am I saying? URA did one thing, but the rest I'm going to give them questions to answer. We were, East African women in business donated for us a very big shea butter machine that we imported from Germany. And after a long struggle with Minister of Trade, Minister of Agriculture, and then at one point I was with the commissioner here for customs here. I salute you, my son. When we were in a meeting, the very same meeting that my sister, the president of UCCI, called us at someplace in Fairway, right? And when I talked about it, he took it up very fast. Little did I know I could be serviced very fast. And they waived our tax off the machine. And 2 weeks ago, we have received the machine in Aganda. This brings me to say, start changing your tactics, then you'll see increase in tax base. Let me stop there. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much. Now I'll invite Mr. Kisa. Please introduce yourself.
Just 1 minute, thank you. Sorry. My company is called Ramela Enterprise. My enterprise is based in Gulu, but I come from Omoro district, but I work mainly in Omoro district. Noya, I have members of the cooperative society. Thank you very much. I needed to clarify that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, moderator. I'm called Kisa Barnabas, and I represent the chamber as the chairperson by the city. Thank you, Madam President, for giving me the opportunity to share with the members present here. Uganda Revenue Authority, we are privileged to work with you. And we are committed as the chamber to see that even at branch level, we will always engage you so that as you strive to increase the tax base, we also enlighten our business community on matters of tax. I want to quickly talk about my sector, which I represent.
Yes.
I am into ICT, but I also run another company called Rio Task Logistics. ICT is one of the growing sectors in Uganda. From COVID period is when I joined ICT, because that is the time when we were forced to have our children study online, to change the education system from class to online. So I ventured into there thinking I was going to maybe become a billionaire very soon. But somehow, one or two things happened. That is the time when government came up to ban the business that I had ventured into, those who were using computers. I did not give up, but I decided to learn to change because now change had pushed us there. Quickly, what are the challenges we are going through? Because I cannot give you the history of ICT. You won't exhaust it because it is so wide.
Barnabas, we were doing introduction
Introduction,
to the
okay.
sector, and then
Then we got.
so let's hear from Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown is my name, and I am enjoying 25 years of experience handling private consultancies in research, in baseline surveys, investment appraisal analysis, in e-tax services, and anything related to professionalism in research that is in line with my skills and qualification. I'm a trained economist, and when I left the graduate school, as early as 2000, I looked for jobs. Because of the narrow tax base, I couldn't get it that suited my abilities. So I decided to create a consultancy firm, for which I have had the opportunity to interface with so many taxpayers at the service level. I have had an extended opportunity to provide consultant services to Uganda National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And I have enjoyed interaction with Madam President, our credible leader, and my sister, a great practitioner, entrepreneur, and so many others. And the most important part of my life is that I'm a born-again Christian. Jesus is my friend and my Lord and my Savior. I think that's enough. I'm married to one woman.
Give it a hand clap, ladies in the house. Yes, thank you very much. We have a lot of Christians, but if we did an audit of how many people they are married to, we might be, in problems. There is, I want to apologize. We had Siatini. Is Madame Regina Navuga around? Is Madame Regina Navuga around? Oh, please come and join us. Ladies and gentlemen, please clap for me as you forgive me for this. I don't think I was meant to be seated. Let me stand and do my work. Madame Regina, please join us on the panel. Can I have that here, maybe? Give her a big hand clap. Siatini has been fighting for trade rights for a long time, and it's important that we have such advocates for trade, for international trade, for regional trade in the House. So Regina, I'll ask you to take a seat and introduce yourself as you forgive me for making that error.
Actually, should someone clarify that will come in later? So,
sorry, it's okay. You need to be
all protocol observed. I'm Navuga Regina, and I work for CIT in Uganda. I didn't fight for my rights, but that's okay. I do coordinate the Financing for Development program that really looks at issues around tax, debt, and how we use our money to finance for development. I know we've been in this space with Uganda Revenue Authority, always in the field, Ministry of Finance, and we are happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So today we're going to give our panelists an opportunity to discuss their experiences in interfacing with the taxation system in Uganda. And I needed them to explain their sectors and who they are so that we understand from which platform they're speaking. And I'm very glad to see that the people that are on stage today are very representative of the membership of the chamber. So I'll start again. I think I'll go to Mr. Kisa. what has your experience been both in the technology sector and as a member of the chamber? What are some of the challenges you're facing? But it's also good for us to applaud the good things that URA is doing, if any. I'm sure the commissioners need to hear that. And if you have these challenges and opportunities you want to hear and good things, please share them.
Thank you so much, moderator.
I'll give you 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Let me quickly talk about the 3 E's, where we have the education, the engagement, and the enforcement, because this is currently affecting us as a business. We are seeing URA shift from URA to UPDF URA, where enforcement, the URA official is coming and standing back, and the UPDF officer is approaching the business person. I'm not saying it in bad faith, but we want to look for ways of how do we continue having the good relationship that we have been enjoying with URA as opposed to the souring relationship that we are now having. Quickly, I will give you a scenario which, because we are representing the chamber, so we cut across what has happened in Barara, Arua. You know what happened in Arua. Now, where we are supposed to do education, just a moment, because we need to know where I'm emerging from. Where we are supposed to have education, engagement, and then we do less of education and engagement, and then we run to enforcement, we are losing it out. And where URA goes in the field and chooses to enforce with unrealistic or unreasonable force, to the extent that we are having people lose lives, we want to say no, let's change the approach. That is one. 2, I will quickly talk about prohibitions, those goods that are prohibited from entering the country. So the question is, if these goods are prohibited, but somehow they have entered the country and they are confiscated, the question is, how do they again find their way to the market? You get it? So they have been confiscated. Ideally, in the mind of a business person, I have lost because I was importing what is prohibited. But I find, again, my goods which were confiscated on market. What does that mean? And who brings them from where they were confiscated to the market? 3, we want to also ask ourselves that we are competing in the same business, but we have the impunity type of business operators, where someone will tell you those goods are for the general, those goods are for a honorable minister. We are all Ugandans. So how do we have this, is the tax body really in a manner that it is giving exemptions to a given group of Ugandans because they are generous? We all can't be in the army. We all can't be children of the ministers, but we are doing the same business. So how do we thrive in an environment where a certain business group is given impunity to trade without paying taxes, and another is paying taxes, and you expect us to do a win-win business? It's not adding up. We have another question on counterfeits. When we talk about counterfeits, URA is telling us that there is Uganda Bureau of Standards. Usually we confuse it with URSB, but it is Uganda Bureau of Standards. So when you ask a URA official, they are telling us that no, that one is under Uganda Bureau of Standards. And then when you ask Uganda Bureau of Standards, they are telling us that how does URA clear counterfeit goods and let them in the market so you can buy? Maybe quickly let me tell you the implication or the multiplier effect of a counterfeit good. I will take a section of family. where you have bought seedlings which are fake, but you found them on market, certified by URSP, Uganda Revenue Authority has cleared them, so you buy. Honestly thinking, I'm going to plant, and then when you plant, nothing germinates. So at the end of the day, where do we go as a business community? Where do we go? You can't blame URA. They are saying you blame Uganda Bureau of Standards. You can't blame Uganda Bureau of Standards. They are saying blame URA. So at the end of the day, a businessman is losing out like that. A farmer is losing out like that. So children of a farmer won't go to school. Children of, so many things are affected in so many. So we are asking, where do we go? Who is allowing these goods on market? How do they come in? Who is this URA official? They are saying is clearing the goods. Do they have a look at the goods, or they just clear? And then on the issue of prohibited computers, we have where URA is not coming out clear. They say for personal use, you are allowed to bring in, they don't even give the number, but they say you are allowed to bring in 1 or 2 computers with you, but they are not very clear. One, I have an iPad, it is also classified as a computer, it is one piece. I have a laptop, it is one piece, and probably a desktop, and I'm coming into my country. There are 3, but one. So, what is the position of URA on personal use at the point of entry? And 2, how about if I have multiple entries that I go today, and then next week, the other week? Do you have a system that tracks that so far Barnabas this month has traveled 4 times, and he has so far brought in 4 laptops? So we now cease to allow him from bringing in another laptop in the names of personal use. So we want to have a clarity on that. Then the other issue which you talked about, in 2023, 2022-2023, that year, Uganda Revenue Authority collected 265 billion in form of taxes on used clothes. Now, someone was raising a question that do you have a mechanism of raising taxes? But we also have a question of why are you allowing or not advising government from phasing out the already known sources of income with a mindset that we have already told government in writing that our manufacturers do not have the capacity to sustain the 40 million Ugandans plus in terms of garments. In fact, if you are to tell our manufacturers to produce to the tune of what we demand, it will take them 5 years, even more, to produce the garments that we use. Now, government rushes because we have people who are doing deals here and there, and they're saying, stop. Government does not engage as the business community to say, is it viable? Can we stop? Do you look at the multiplier effect? How many women, if you go to the market, how many women are being sustained in the business of clothes? Just by virtue of seeing, don't count. Just on the road, how many women are dealing in clothes? Every shop. I'm into fashion, but now if we come up and close all of a sudden without plan, that where are these women going to be employed, for example? Have we looked at it? Do we also consider that this government does not have jobs for most of our informal people who did not study? Even those who studied are on the street, and we are now fighting to see that the informal sector is registered, to see that the informal sector is paying tax, and the government itself is coming up to kill what we are building as the business people. So how do we work? Because we want to look at 3 components. The taxpayer, we want to look at the tax collector, and then the utilizer of the taxes. Someone was asking, in fact, every business person is asking, is it viable for me to continue paying taxes? Whereas you are convincing us here, as you are like, pay taxes, pay taxes, pay taxes. If I can go to a hospital and I don't get medicine, if I can walk on poor roads, if I cannot get government services, and I know someone is saying money has been swindled somewhere in your world, money has been swindled somewhere there. So the utilization of the money we are collecting is what the business community is demanding. Where is the accountability for the money that is collected and how is it expended? I think I am just finishing. Just Now I had a few questions. Yeah,
thank you so much. You've talked about the challenges and you've raised some serious questions. I hope our commissioners are listening. Madam Santa, you took quite some time in the introduction, but I'm giving you 5 minutes to raise some of the challenges your people and maybe good things you want to talk about in your engagement with the taxman.
Thank you very much. I stand on the existing protocol. I'm also born again class 1. Now, as an agribusiness person, I believe and trust that every human being on the face of the earth depends on agribusiness. Agriculture is our source of life. You both tells us another figure. For me, I say, our GDP stands on agriculture. Whether by manufacturing or by direct production from the soil, we stand on agriculture. But then, I am from, during the colonial time, is when I was born. I'm a product of agribusiness. And my parents and my grandparents used to pay tax without fear. And I want URA to, it was, in those days it was graduated tax. Now you have upgraded yourself to URA. You need to simplify that authority you have got. Every human being in Uganda here pay tax with fear. And what is the missing link here? In the context of Uganda, the question is, to me, as an agribusiness person, why is tax collection difficult? Why is it difficult? Because there is a missing link between the community and URA. Just like my brother here said, you have created a very tense atmosphere, URA and the community. And why is that? In those days, I could see my grandfather. He was a cotton grower. When it comes to January and February, every human being, for my case, in the north, they know that is the time to pay tax. And every human being is engaged in looking for money. Why is it not now? You have created tension between you and the community, especially with the agribusiness. Why do Ugandans in agribusiness fear to pay tax? Is there something that has gone wrong? And I'm asking URA, investigate. I thank my sister, my president, for having brought us here to speak so that we think. And I'm surprised to say the policy makers, I was a little politician in this sometime back, very little. But let me tell you, with the policy, it's the men and women who have been recruited by government to craft that, because they are the ones who interact with the community and technically, professionally, they know what should take place. And they are the ones to craft those papers and give it, together with PS, and give to the minister to take it to the house. And now you say, the policy, you are not there. You are 100% part of that policy development. 100%. Because when planning and budgeting every year from the village to the parliament, it is you who calls us for the budget conference to tell you what we really know what we really need. And it is you, Commissioner, who pens that down and gives the Minister of Finance to take it to Parliament. And now you are telling me you are not part of it, no, stop it today. For our business community, we must pay tax, and they know if they don't pay tax, government service delivery will not come through. What has happened? How many I told my president, you know the slogan that runs on TV and on radio, we are very rich in potholes. And now you tell me to pay tax, trust me, I will say no. Because I want to run on a smooth road. I want to carry my shea butter from Kampala to Nairobi. And there are 1,000 potholes. Yes, let's say you are not attracting anybody. You say you collect tax for good service delivery. Go to the hospital, no medicine. On the road, potholes are there. Now let me tell you, from Ulu via Amuro, and Amuro is one of the most productive districts in Uganda, followed by Nwea. But when during rainy season, my sister, my president, I cannot carry my product from Lakam to Kulutau. I can't. You find 200 vehicles on the road sitting like this, and my product is down. And you collect that, you think I will pay. No, I bribe my way from Lakam to Kulai bribe. I bribe, and this is not it's an open check. It's an open check. I buy my way through. And that money should have gone to your pot. Please, something has gone wrong, and something is missing. For us in those days, my grandfather, January and February, prone to pray that graduated tax. And when the tax enforcement officers come, they don't come the way you come today. You carry something big pile of something, it looks like a stick, which they put on the door, and you can't open the thing. So me, I'm here as an agricultural person, and let me commercialize my agriculture. But don't threaten me out of it. The fact of the matter is, something has gone wrong. Me, I still want to relate to the old days. In conclusion, I want to say, I conclude by saying there is missing link between tax managers and Ministry of Agriculture and that very mother ministry, Ministry of Finance, up there. So, agribusiness needs to understand so that there is no fear in paying tax. Please, both parties, think of developing a conducive environment for us to pay tax easily and not to bribe when we are taking our products to the market. And even the production cost, finally, is so high because of tax. Because of memory. I wonder whether women pay electricity pay tax. Do they pay tax? Yes, if they do, there is where it's a problem. I pay tax on what I don't see. Like in Ulu, we can have electricity once a week for 1 week in 1 month. And like for me right now, when I came yesterday, when I left last night, my machine was there, no power, and I had sacks of shea nuts and simsim to mill. You have given me my machine. Will I produce? But you won't stop coming to ask for tax. I'm very disappointed in one way or the other. So what my sit down is find what is the problem between you and the community. Don't be teaching us about this. My son was there telling us all the technicality. For me, I don't understand. For me, I know I am born to pay tax freely, fairly, without fear. But now, my children know I should prepare money to drive my way to sell my product. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mama Santa. I think you've really spoken for the agribusiness community. I'll now have the consultant say something.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
5 minutes. Huh?
Yes, please. First of all, I'm triggered by the presentation of the tax education. totally agree with him. For us in the service sector, we get information from taxpayers that you people, revenue officers, never get at all. We gossip about you freely and with ease. And so they tell us easily their challenges. I have got challenges here, there are about 18, there are too many. You see, in this country, because of the prudent political and economic management, we are now emerging from a situation where the old taxpayers, the bourgeoisie of the time of 1970s, are slowly going down to the limit and being replaced by the former educated class of taxpayers. I hope you know that. That's why my sister here clearly says that she's willing to pay tax. She's willing to do a voluntary tax assessment and then she will give to national government. Because she's informed, she's educated. I'm a man from Kawai. At one time in the 1970s, the biggest and most enterprising entities were by the people who had never gone to school at all. And the mean was encouraging that. And that Kawai became Kawai, if some of you know, those who are of the age. And the revenue collection system of that time was looking at Kawai and the ginger thing. But now, having a new brand of taxpayers coming on board, we are still inheriting the challenges of the past, of illiteracy and backwards. So, Uganda revenue, which is not success story, is not about it, is now professionalizing the revenue tax collection, disregarding the fact that we are still having instincts of the past, where some taxpayers cannot interpret e-tax application. If somebody said that you are the taxpayers are encouraged to purchase if-this machine device, there are people who don't understand how to apply it. There are people who cannot file returns. Let me give you this information. A businessman does not get motivated to employ services of the tax agent. Because he thinks he's coming to make his claims payment, and that alone is profitability. And URI is encouraging, please hire services of the tax agent. Every day you say you repeat it over and over again. But someone doesn't want to hear about the tax agent. So they are fixing trying to understand the history for making tax payments, yet they are in new fish. That's why I agree with our head of tax education that there is more to be done on educating the masses. And somebody has said that, I think that's that in commission again, that up country is opening arcades. Yes, they are doing it. What they have formal knowledge about tax education. You may go there and you can't speak anything because they don't have to pay taxes. So, there are rigorous issues that taxpayers don't understand, especially in domestic tax services. In domestic tax services head, not the customs tax. The customs tax, I think, because of the historical tradition, is well embraced and understood. I know you have got more than a school system world. You have got somebody who was telling us about the cargo monitoring system, which is also electronic application. But it is well understood for customs tax. But there is a problem with the domestic taxes. You are telling somebody who cannot add 2 plus 2 to get 4 to file income return on the basis of how much you have done for the year. He cannot understand what is double taxation. Let me give you this information. There are some taxpayers you approach and tell them that they are supposed to pay 5 VAT returns, 5 fares you earn for his employees, then pay 30% income gain or profitability, and the man feels fatigued. He feels burdened because he does not understand that he is succeeding and getting the ability to remit his taxes. He says, now I'm tired of you again. Yesterday I paid withholding tax. Somebody withheld 6% on my surprise obsession at the Macquarie University, which my brother told her. Now you are coming here for payers you earn, and you want me to find a VAT return. I am very beginning to cast government. You know, we have been helping the government to educate, to do your work. We should support some of us. Because we tell them, no, this is a noble cause of now completing national development. Without your contribution, we shall have no social service around. So we have convinced many, patriotically, simply because probably we are born again. You know? Then, there are issues of VAT tax refund. It needs to be attributed better to taxpayers. Then there is a tax appeals tribunal. Someone touched about it. Its significance is quite novel. Because there are people who are crying because of ignorance, but they can settle their disputes in this mechanism that you already have in place. And my brother who presented explained other mechanisms in which you can settle disputes arising from the taxpayers' own side. That is excellent. But some people are not aware that that mechanism is there. You write an education program for taxpayers. My brother who said that there is a gap in education service and tax education services. Please, widen the education of tax services to cover the whole country. And I agree with you, sorry, that yes, there are some tax resources that are not tapped up country. They are not there. Let me tell you a simple one. A rich man is buying a property at 10 billion shillings. And he gets a simple commission man who is called a broker. And he says, I'm going to secure you a buyer on condition that you give me 5%. You get it? 5% commission of 10 billion. How much is that? 500 million? That is not taxable. The man will get it and go away. And you are busy sourcing tax from somebody keeping a stationary somewhere. I don't know if my time is over, but that's what I have to point. Then there is, because of the inherited problem, you and I have got the challenge of taxpayers' poor attitude. Taxpayers believe that tax collectors are, can I be modest? Are corrupt. If in the public arena, Mr. Capital, if you meet somebody, he thinks you are a pioneer. Because they know you are a commissioner, you are earning a lot of money as a earning over 500,000. So in comparison, that is an attitude. The education I am proposing is going to kill that attitude. That a tax collector has come to exploit the taxpayer. That's a very bad belief. How are you going to come to that? Implement customer psychological related education services to taxpayers. They need it as early as yesterday. People need to change mindsets about the efforts of tax collectors. I'm reminded that my time is over, but I have advised a model called Community Tax Saving in Education Model. It is equivalent of community policy model of Uganda police force. If my neighbor is battering his wife, I am freedom to call a policeman to come and settle the dispute. And everybody knows that. The other day we lost a brother in the name and somebody ran after him and killed the person and has been rewarded. That is under community policy model. You can handle the dispute in the absence of the relevant thing. So I'm saying this model for intra-tax policy model can be extended as far as rural community areas. Besides the arcades madam in the upcoming towns, there are so many people who have got very good businesses in rural areas. You need to go there, solar business, doing very well. Huge commodity distribution business centers in rural areas with turnover of 20 million per day.
Mr. Brown, I must end this here. Yes. You have effectively saved taxes on your side and evaded 5 minutes of taxation. So I would like to hear from Siatini. And now we're taking the picture from the micro, from the domestic, and we're looking at trade negotiations. And I think Siatini is one of the initiatives that came out when we realized that LDCs like ours are not negotiating well when it comes to outside markets, when it comes to trade protocols. Now we have the East African Common Market Protocol. We're told by the Commissioner Customs that there's a lot of these taxes that are, we have been dealing with. I just want to sort of contextualize our questions. We've been dealing with non-tariff barriers that really affect tax and everything else. We've also been dealing with tax regimes in the region that are not equitable. And at the same time, we have problems of, I was just discussing with the commissioner. I had the opportunity to sit next to him, and I was telling him that while you are taxing every little bottle of mineral water that a local person is manufacturing, someone is importing mineral water or something, and nobody is taxing that. So we have this unequitable, I don't know if that's what I should call them, tax regimes. And then as Siatini, what are some of the challenges you're seeing? And maybe from a policy advocacy perspective, what are some of the things that you would like the taxman in the room today to hear? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I knew that I was coming to meet both the taxman and woman, gender, and then the business community. So my proposals are to both here, because I know with business, your interest is really about maximizing profits, right? And saying that UNCCI is really about advocating for the interests of the business community. And for us, what we really are emphasizing that your interests really should be genuine as a business community, right? Just like the panel said, they should be fair, equitable to everyone. One of them should not be tax whatsoever, tax dodging, because we know you have the power. You have the power to employ, to use his services, to use her services, accountants, lawyers, right? But this should be done genuinely, because we know that if you don't pay your fair share of taxes, your neighbor, your mother, your grandfather are going to bear that burden in terms of paying the progressive taxes, right? That one should be really clear. So, going back to your question, looking at the global landscape, we know that taxes are negotiated. All the rights are negotiated. And right now at the global level, we see that the OECD countries are not allowing, especially developing countries, right, for us to maximize our taxing rights. They've signed a number of double taxation agreements, right? A number of policy proposals that they're proposing. There's been the proposal to have a global minimum tax rate from 30% to 15%. For us as CSOs, we are saying that that might not be fair. It might come back to bite us. Because at the moment, you know that the effective tax rate that companies are paying at the moment is even lower. If we put it at 15%, we are foregoing the 30%. Is that fair? At the global level, there has been negotiations around having a UN tax body, right? Because we know that now countries that are subscribed or are members of the UN have the sovereign right to vote, as opposed to the OECD model, where it's only those who have the power that can negotiate the taxing rights. There have been a number of proposals that have been put on the table, especially around taxing the digital economy, you know, especially proposals around corporate income tax that we feel that are not in favor or in the interest of African countries. Back to the ESC, we know that the ESC is always, I think initially we had 3. How many are we at the moment? We are growing. Despite that, there are a number of issues that we have to address as a country. The non-tariff barriers in the region. We are moving towards the common currency. Recently, there was, I think on Twitter, you saw that someone put their notes that we have currencies that we've agreed upon, which is not yet, we're not yet there. So for us, we are really advocating to ensure that there are no non-tariff barriers. We are harmonizing our taxes. Currently, we know that the ESC countries have prioritized working around harmonizing the income tax. The VAT rates are still low. Kenya is saying, why don't the other ESC countries revise their VAT rates? Uganda is also looking at it as a revenue initiative, really. They do not want to pour more than 2%. What we are really recommending as CSOs is to ensure that in the ESC region, at the continental level, we see fairness, right? And this ensures that companies are also paying their fair share of taxes. Right now, we know that there's been another debate on how Uganda has been removed from the bread list. That was, I think, on 23rd. I think most of us noticed that Uganda we got off that list of being on the bread list. And here we are encouraging the business community that we need to know the beneficial owners, those people who are owning companies. You know, it's called uplifting the veil. Some of us hide in legal entities, yet at the moment we know that a number of people who benefit, those who are supposed to be paying their taxes, are not paying it duly. Coming back to the national level, maybe now to URA, we have this on an annual basis for us as the Tax Alliance Uganda. I know we have some representatives in the room, some from the Federation of Small and Medium Enterprises that are represented here, as well as members of the
one of the most lucrative farming lands in Africa. I will say this. It is, you know, when we were studying agriculture, they used to say to mechanize, you need soil that has no stones, you need to have a flat gradient, you need to have, this is all there. If you talk about the Canadian prairies, we have them in Moya, but nobody except the foreigners who have the capacity are able to farm to the extent that could really utilize these resources. And I'm thinking that with policy makers here, with the business sector here, and I want to say, chamber members, you have a big voice. And this is Excellency has set a standard. He listens to the business community. Let's articulate these issues. Today we've said many things. We're going to communicate them. Madam Commissioner, Mr. Commissioner, we're going to document what we've gotten today, and we'll communicate them. But this will be our request, that if you need us in the room to do advocacy, we will come. But we need you to also think for us. Much as you're getting income from these vehicles, if I told Commissioner that, you know, there are people who are offering me, they're saying, Fiona, give me some money, I will cut the tax off that car. So when we squeeze people, Mama Santa, who's born again, starts paying bribes. Do we understand? So we need to look at more than just the relationship between the tax and the taxes, but we need to look at ourselves as a country that is trying to rise to certain places. And that means that it's going to call us, even as our institutions like URA, to rise beyond our own needs, to look at the needs of the macroeconomy. So with all that preaching, I want to invite Madam Commissioner to give some remarks. Okay, in order to conclude, I've been advised by my boss that let's have 5 questions from the audience. I know you're burning, so that by the time the Commissioner comes here, there is a summary. We just wrap it up. Thank you. Can I just first, yes. Do we have another mic? Sorry. Denise, please help me. I need some help here. Please introduce yourself and the sector you're in. Can I have someone else? Tracy, please. So these ladies will be moving around. They are from Nalasa and Company Advocates, if I may say.
Thank you so much. My name is Francis Kamine from the Federation of Small and Medium Enterprises. I have 2 issues. One, I want to thank URA for the tax, for the waiver, the window waiver that we had towards the end of last year. As speaking from the SME point of view, this was a big move, especially the taxpayers, SMEs that are paying tax. And I believe part of the 2.5 trillion shillings that was collected last year was because of that move by URA. However, we have a challenge. Yes, we deserve a big hand for URA. One of the challenges is that some SMEs still didn't manage to file and also pay within that period. The Commissioner mentioned that we might have an extension of the waiver. Could you please expound more on that? We would be eager to hear of any extension in that lane. The second issue is about the policy issue. Yes, Commissioner Abel, you said, of course, your policy implementers, not makers and formulators. But recently we were reviewing the performance of the National Development Plan 3, which is coming to an end very soon. And it was observed that only 17% of the expected of the expectations were achieved. And this was partly, besides the COVID-19 and the shocks, it's because of the tax burden to the private sector. Of course, it's a big challenge, But now when government is in the process of formulating NDP4, can we see URA and most of these government agencies and institutions speaking to each other so that we can have at least better performance under the NDP4, unlike what is happening with NDP3? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Another question, there's a lady in the front. Okay. Introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Let's keep the questions short.
Okay. Thank you. I'm called Helena. I work for Quality Education Consultants Limited. My concern is about the rental tax. I happen to have some experience with it. Actually, my sister, I don't know the processes and the procedures that the URA is using to levy these taxes. She had a house under construction, and she was called to URA that she has not been paying the rental tax. This is a house that is on construction. It's not even finished. And they were threatening her. So she walks in there and asks the lady, was the lady in charge that was calling her for the last 2 weeks, threatening her. So she goes there and says, let's go to my site and see, I haven't even got rent for this house. So how do you do that assessment? Do you go to the ground? Do you do the rumor-mongering? How do you get it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Lucy, and I'm coming from the renewable sector. Yes, we are talking so much about agribusiness, but there is a very strong connection with renewable energy. In some areas we hear some things, some technologies can come in tax-free. Other technologies may not come in, but we actually don't never get to know which is the truth until you hit customers. Where is renewable energy in this whole taxation issues, especially the renewable energy which has a very close connection with agriculture, that is in biogas production. Then the other one is, again, someone was talking about vehicles. Agriculture, we need vehicles. And we don't just need machete vehicles, but we need really strong, high-quality vehicles. Recently there was a call on new vehicles, used vehicles. If some of you are very familiar with that. And we were very excited when we were told, you farmers, go and negotiate. The price is, we didn't know the price until it was, it's an auction method. But we were warned that, you know what, you're going to buy a vehicle with a CE plate. You processing that and clearing the taxes that this vehicle has spent, or the years it has spent in this country, will be much more than what you bought. So we said, now, what do we do? I can't buy a new hard body Land Cruiser. A new hard body Land Cruiser which can do for me work up to the BDBD cooperative, up to down in Kisoro, up to Gatuna, wherever I want to go, will cost me more than 500 million. And we are just a young farmers group starting up. How do we do that? So again, it's coming back. That is when people want really to import vehicles to do the hardcore agricultural field work. How can they be a considered? The same thing in tourism. You buy any red plate number vehicle, you're in trouble with that. Because you have, at one time, you'll have to pay through the month. So again, in Kenya, you find that similar interventions, similar vehicles, makes big slightly cheaper. Not forgetting that we are master of potholes. You're driving a new car, a nice new car, within 6 months, all the shock absorbers are gone. All of them. You're going back to the garage and they're putting counterfeits for you. How do we put this whole equation together? Thank you.
Wow, okay. 3 more and then we're done. I'm happy to see that they're all
of those 20 days, each product, before you even start working. So they take those, they test them for a fee. Sometimes if you pass, you have to pay again. So that is eating into your capital. Time comes when you manufacture and have the products on the market, on the shelf. Within a month, that is in a week. How are we going to do that? And I talked about the specialization, I think that's what he said, most of our manufacturing industry, especially in the are dying, and they continue to die unless these authorities with each other. And that's the old hand. Give this the holding hand. Otherwise, it's a problem.
Thank you so much. I actually hope that next time we'll have other organizations like you are in the house, because we're the Ghana Investment Authority. We have partners with the definition of an investor when they become workers, right? And they want to benefit from these investor incentives. We have some questions here about what tax holidays are given to agribusiness. I think this will be answered later. These are some detailed questions. I would like now to invite our commissioners. Please give them a big thank you and a standing ovation. People have borne a lot of stress today on behalf of the whole government of Uganda. Please give a big standing ovation.
Thank you so much, and our President, the panelists, and our dear taxpayers. I didn't say thank you for paying your taxes. I also pay my taxes. Right? I wanted to start with the customs issues so that the acting Commissioner General can come and conclude with the domestic taxes, the others. Most of them we have taken note. I want to appreciate your input into this, and I hope my team has captured most of these issues so that we address them, especially where they are guiding on policy issues, issues that we can take up to change the way we do collection of taxes. I wanted to start with the panelists. The enforcement, the engagement, the education. So it's like you are already starting with enforcement instead of starting with educating and engaging. I want to assure you for the last 4 years, my Commissioner General had come, that is the first thing he will tell you. We emphasize more of engagement and education before we enforce. And we have seen it work for us because it has built a relationship between us and the taxpayer. And like before, we are a bit closer. That's why we are here. Critique us, go back and do this. That was not happening in the past. So we do more engagements, and that's why we want to appreciate the National Chamber of Commerce for arranging these engagements. We realize taxation, even when they are presenting, some of you are not to everything that we presented. There is a bit of more work to be done in making sure, especially the informal sector, appreciate what we do in taxation. Now, what happened in West Nile? It was actually specific in West Nile. There is isolated incidents that can happen when you are doing this job. Of course, you cannot go to do work and you say, I should not carry along some security people to move with us. And I think that incident involved motorcycles, numberless motorcycles, and in the process of impounding them because they were not registered and had not paid taxes, they knew, of course. And they mobilized the young people and the youth who came and started storming our personnel. The people were escorting them. Unfortunately, we lost a life, others were injured, but it's not our approach that we should shoot or do this. The Commissioner General himself Minister of Finance, General Duties, went there and met the community and engaged them. And of course, there are some conversations which were done, but this was isolated incidents. It's not a area policy. You should always know which people, the soldiers, close. We want to get out of that. We want to get out of that. It does not work for us. It does not work for us. But I want to inform you that is where enforcement is necessary. If you work in customs and you are the borders and you've been telling these people, you smuggled yesterday, I got you. You smuggled the next day, I got you. Is that, now what other approach can I use? Is there engagement there? You're doing it deliberately. There are those who have chosen. For us, our mission is to evade. If you catch us, well and good. Now that enforcement should come at the tail end when we've done engagement and education. And I want to assure you that is where we're going. On the issue of the prohibited goods, how do they find their way on the market? They should not find their way on the market. In the market, there's corruption. The process is that when we impound used computers, let me use the example of used computers, made through the airport, or even through the borders, they are stored in what we call a customs warehouse. We get a certificate from the National Environmental Management Authority for destruction. And we do destruction of all prohibited goods. Now it's not only used computers, we have cigarettes, we have special goods which have expired, you have smuggled. No, there are some smuggled goods which were not prohibited or banned. So we do destruction in gazetted places witnessed by everyone. So if they really went and found your computer on the market, which we impounded, then we need to move the people who are involved in that process. Because NEMA is there, URA is there, UNBS is there, so we look at all government agencies concerned with those products that participate in the destruction of the prohibited goods. But we also need to do a lot of tax education to the people. Why should we wait for them to reach Uganda? Why should we wait for them to reach the airport? Let's inform the people countries sending them that these are prohibited and are not wanted in Uganda. That's an area we are working on. For the iPads, they are not prohibited because the iPad we treat it like a phone. So they use computers that we don't want because we think we have moved taxes on the use of computers. So let's encourage our students or whoever wants to use computers to buy instead of bringing us, because the used computer has a lifespan. The person who sends it to us has used it and is tired of it, wants to buy another model, and then they say Uganda is receiving. We are saying this at least on policy level remove taxes so that Uganda is buying these computers which are new cheaply. Taxation should be fair. I agree. It should be fair and should cut across. Exemption should be fair to all. CDT will talk about this. In my view, no one has stopped you from going into the industrial park and reviewing exemptions. No one has stopped you from starting up a manufacturing plant and enjoying the emission. There are even rates for exemption for nationals and foreigners. Different. If you look at our incentives guide, it is there. Put it on your table. So it is there for every Ugandan. And I don't think we've tried to make sure that it is as fair for everyone, not cut up for the few individuals. There was a question on counterfeits. What we are doing quickly, URSP registered as a brand. If it is Gucci, it is, I don't know what that Gucci, whatever brand, the originals, those who put on those brands. But we've been having a challenge when we intercept these counterfeits. We intercept them, okay. Who is the brand owner? The brand owner is in Seattle, in California, it's in UK, London. we need you in court to testify that this is your brand. You know what it means? They just ignore. Then we are stuck with counterfeits. Then your URA says, hey, who is this? Which mandate is this? URA. That's an area we can look try to improve. On what is allowed, if you're coming laptop, we allow you one laptop. Where should you have two? You pass. Where should you carry? Where are you taking? Use your laptops. So we've not been allowed, been impounding them because they are prohibited. Use clothing, it's a policy issue. For me, where I sit, I'm still collecting taxes on used clothing. If you had the fountain of honor talk about it, at least I'm waiting for that directive to come. At the moment, I'm collecting more than actually 265 billion from the used clothing. But you also need to remember that, yes, we've not reached there, but there are some countries which have banned protection of used clothing. And they are managing. Made by here. Not allowing you to clothing. I don't think they are making, they are putting on. So there's a time where we should reach and say, we have built capacity, and we get out of this. We start also as a country to put on new clothes, especially when we build the capacity for manufacturing. On accountability for the money being collected, but I thought we were always there when they are announcing how they are going to spend the money. This is roads, this is normal. This is this. Health is this. This is this. Yes, I am not there, but I've been running a campaign as you are we collect and explain where your taxes have gone and how much we capture and that. Though it's not our role, we've been focusing more on collection. You know, when you've been given a target of 29 trillion, your struggle is when you look for this 29. Then I leave my bosses to do the appropriation. And I thought the process is very clear on how that money is done. Now the issue is the president and your team to be part of those engagements when there's sharing and appropriation. But at least ERA is concentrating more on doing the collection, but we are also concerned where someone says potholes are many, but we usually don't go into the appropriation. Now to the individual questions, the rest my Commissioner General will answer. To the specific questions that came that partly relate to customs was on the women traders facilitation. You've advised to have a women department, will think about it. Facilitation of women across the borders to trade. My thinking is that area has done a lot. If you go to Busia and in Legu and in Pondwe and Mutu and at those borders, every one-stop border post which has acted has a warehouse for their fresh trade. Has put even coolers for their fresh trade free of charge. We have also done a simplified trade regime. Now, until men, why do you call women traders facilitation? We are also cross-border traders. So we have now changed the name from women in cross-border traders to cross-border traders. So that the men are also because are you a woman in the free? For you, also going to the market. And for those gender issues, we manage borders, and we've given them offices. And the leadership of the women at those borders have an office and a boardroom. So they see, agree on their issues, raise the issues, and I think we are trying to improve that area. There is a lot of support to the women border trade. What we are suggesting is that management level, how we can streamline this. I think most of the other questions were for my commissioner general. I want to ask her to thank you, the panelists, for the insights. Most of the issues we've taken note, but there is one the moderator brought which is still intriguing on motor vehicles. I don't know whether I will answer it properly here. The law says if you have a car older than 9 years, pay environmental levy because you are bringing a car which is going to pollute the environment. It is old. So Uganda is encouraging people to buy cars which are below 9 years. So if you choose to buy an older car, because that's what you afford, even may have something older than 9 years as a commission, I pay environmental levy to protect the environment because they're going to pollute the Ugandan environment. And yeah, I'll come to that also. So that is one issue. So some people pay, and there is that surcharge for you coming to destroy the environment. So there's something you pay. Then we asked, this is a used car. You bought it from Japan. You don't know which factory it was manufactured from. You just went on the street, the Chivanda auction mart in Japan and brought the car here. So we asked, okay, what was the invoice for this car when it was new? I don't know. Me, I just bought, this is how much they gave me, $5,000, $1,000, $2,000. So was that transaction value? Yes, that's how I bought it. But it is when the car was new. So we got the databases for Toyota, they gave us. You know, most cars are Toyota. Suzuki, Ward. You know, Japan now we have a working relationship. The one which is established are the UK vehicles. We put them there. We said, sir, madam, your car was $50,000 US when it was new. Now you bought it from Japan at $5,000. Transaction value means that it is the price actually paid or payable. So you depreciate. So when you depreciate, you have what we call a value guideline. That's why I didn't want to go into this detail. Then you have a value guideline which is there. We show you when it was new, and this is now how when it is old. Now those people who took us to court when we showed it, they have never seen anyone come to pay using the old invoice value because that's what they wanted in court. We said this is how your Toyota was manufactured. Are you able to pay at this or using this 5,000, 6,000 we have? I'm still waiting. But they won in court and we are waiting for them to pay us more taxes because when they use what we have, they pay less taxes. And we've agreed that we continue the way we are doing until maybe they convince the Japanese to reduce the prices for their new cars. I submit and thank you very much.
Thank you. Just to thank everyone, and specifically the President and the panelists. Thank you so much. What I can say is that as URA, this feedback is very important because we keep improving. There is a lot of room for improvement, definitely. Even when you are selling services as a business, you need feedback. Constructive feedback is very, very important. I will run through some, but those that we will take note, we will definitely respond back through our PCAT back to the Secretariat at the Chamber. There have been issues on agriculture. We appreciate the role that agriculture plays in this country, employing a very big percentage of women and feeding our country. And government, in the same spirit, has so many exemptions in this sector. We have been grappling with taxing, trying to create some taxes in this sector, but we don't succeed, because even the political space, your MPs who make laws in parliament really want to protect the agricultural sector. So in agriculture, when you are in the agro-processing now, is where the taxation will come in. But even in agro-processing, there are exemptions in that area. For example, if you are in value addition agro-processing, we will give you a 10-year tax holiday. If your investment capital is $150,000 per, that is the investment capital. $150,000, what's the equivalent in Uganda shillings? It's not a lot. About 400. It's just now that the dollar has gone up, but about 400 million. If the investment is outside Kampala, 50 kilometers outside Kampala, but if it is within Kampala, it's $300,000. That is for 6 cents. Now, 6 cents, according to the Act, will include also 6 cents of the East African community. I was watching the news yesterday and I saw Somalia joining. And you see now, when you start saying these ones are foreigners, you have to first ask yourself, is this a citizen or not? Now the Somalis, you will not distinguish between one from Eritrea, one from, but those are things that immigration should help us on. But if it is a non-citizen, the investment capital is $10 million. So you can see the difference is quite huge. So this caters for all of us. Sometimes there is a gap in tax education. Otherwise, you can apply for this exemption and we will surely give. We are now very, very supportive to our own Ugandans, because many of the other non-citizens are already in this space of manufacturing and benefiting. The other one is the digitalization as URL. As URL, digitalization is part of a tool to support in enhancing tax compliance. So the digitalization doesn't segregate with the small and micro taxpayers. Definitely, we appreciate the challenges that the micro and small taxpayers face. Because you are there doing your business in downtown or in the villages, you even just have a button phone, you don't have a smartphone, but URA will require you to have an email, will require you to log into their website and apply for that team and then file a return. We are trying to improve on this through simplifying the processes, especially the forms. Now, for taxpayers who are in the presumptive regime, whose turnover is between 10 million and 150 million per year, we allow them to file using just a PRN. You can get a PRN which can be given by our people, and that PRN is a form as well. So when you submit that PRN, it will be a form, and that is what you use to pay the tax. We are still improving on so many areas, but we now also have the instant team, which will help you get a team without having that email. We are trying to do a lot of listening so that even as we digitalize, we don't leave some parts of our tax paying team or tax-paying clients outside. Because remember, we want everyone to pay that fair share of that tax. So there are so many businesses in rural areas. Yes, we are going there, although it is tough. They also do a lot of smuggling there because of the porous borders. They are selling goods with very good margins. They have not paid customs taxes. We are working on this. There is really a lot of work, and together with other MDS, we hope to improve on this. Rebates as incentives. We have a rebate for e-receipts. If you can ask people, if you go to that supermarket or hardware shop and you ask for an e-freeze invoice or an electronic invoice, what we call an e-receipt, there are rebates. We shall give you 5% of the tax that is on that invoice. And so we want our people to really be even aware when you have paid tax that have actually been able to pay this tax. But when they give you a manual receipt, just know you have not served your country with paying tax, and yet we must be supported in policing all this. The other one is to reduce to zero rate. I think I didn't pick this one very well. There was also creating an office, an equivalent. Yes, please. Yeah. To zero rate the standard mark. That one we can actually, we can look into it as a policy issue. But what we are also doing is to negotiate the contract that we signed with the SIGPA, the company that gives us stamps, is supposed to reduce, the unit price of a stamp is supposed to reduce as the number of taxpayers go up who are registered for these digital tax stamps. So recently we were looking at especially the alcoholic beverages, and we are negotiating. We negotiated last year for the beers, so this is also going to help as we also consider the zero rating. Thank you. Let's take note of this. The URAT, let's just take note of this. This is very important. And then there was something on creating the equivalent of the IGG for tax, where taxpayers can go. This is in South Africa, and it's good because there and then you look like you can go to a neutral area. We also have an appeal office and an objections office. But you see, this is still your area. You want somewhere where there is a neutral ground where you can go to other than touch. Yeah, so it is something which is very good and healthy. We will see how best to discuss with our teams in finance. Working with stakeholders, with the other MDS. Last week we were in a workshop in Munyonyo, and it was chaired by the PSS team and the Minister of Finance team, and many MDS were there, all of them, who were discussing how to work together and how to harmonize some of the taxes. There is a question here on ground rent, on property rent, on rental tax, and how all this is being collected on the same property. So we are saying, how best can we have one tax so that we don't confuse our taxpayers, our citizens. So that is something that we are discussing. There is a research paper which is being done by local government. We have been getting so many complaints. When we go to ask for rental tax, the taxpayer gives you a receipt of KCCL for property rent. So when we say this is different, they will not appreciate. Then somebody asked from a bank, are you aware that SACCOs are beating the banks in borrowing? They are SACCOs, they are money lenders. We are aware, but regulation in this country still requires a lot of work, and it's not only regulation in this space, but everywhere. Even us, we want the businesses regulated so that we can collect tax better. Again, that was another talking point, an action point in that seminar that we had last week. And we will track the action points. Hopefully next financial year, really, we should be having something that will help. Then there was a question on how tax is demanded before even the business really picks up. Income tax is paid for a year of income. And we will give you at least 6 months. If you think there is profit, you pay some deposit. After 12 months, you can also pay another deposit. But where there is no profit, you will file a nil return. That one is okay. But for taxes like VAT, we first give you a grace period to track your sales. When the sales reach a certain volume, usually we don't register anybody for VAT. Your gross sales should be 150 million per year or 37.5 per 3 months. So now once we track that, then that money has to come by the 15th day of the following month. It's a monthly tax. VAT is monthly, withholding tax is monthly, and also pay as you earn is monthly. Of course, initially, especially for VAT, it gives a cash flow strain for especially the SMEs. But in the long run, as you sell, you keep collecting and paying tax, as others also take long to pay you. But we really appreciate that, and it's an area also to look at in terms of policy. But there is a window for cash basis of accounting for VAT. If your turnover is up to 500 million per annum, you can choose cash basis. Cash basis is where I will only pay VAT if the customer has paid. If they have not paid, then I don't pay. So that one sorts you from a cash flow perspective. The policymakers understand that if your turnover is more than 500 million, then you should be able to pick up. I am being warned all the time. On section 40D on tax waiver, we are following up on that. We realized many taxpayers were not able to benefit because of, we also had issues with our IT system. It took long for us to update our ledgers. So we are discussing. Hopefully something comes up. Just watch the space, but we are working on that. So what would we advise our taxpayers? You could first be paying the principal tax as we wait. Because there is no harm in it. Because the earlier you pay the principal tax, the other one will not, the interest will not keep accumulating. There are a number of other issues, but maybe you will allow me to say that we shall come back on this, and from a policy perspective, including even your questions on penal taxes on E3s of 6 million. We will have all this recorded and then come back to you through the secretary. Thank you.
So much. Another standing ovation. Thank you so much, Madam Commissioner. Thank you so much, URA, for giving us this time, for honoring the private sector who intend to be our biggest taxpayers in the future if we enable them to do their business easily. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know time is fast spent. We're going to have just a goodbye note from our panelists. We can't just chase them away without them saying bye to us. Then we're going to have a group photo, so please don't leave. Please appear in a group photo, and then we shall be dismissed. Thank you so much. Can you clap for yourselves for being patient? Our panelists, thank you so much. I know you had burning issues and you had a lot, but today I want to thank you because you've shown us that you're really experts in your area, and I think URA has taken a lot of notes for policy backing, but URA, we also want to say that these are our people. If you need them to sit on the table and rehash this for policy purposes, we even have more people in the audience. We can always arrange more meetings like this. So ladies and gentlemen, please, 30 seconds, just say bye to your audience or to URA. One last parting shot. 30 seconds, let's practice integrity here.
Thank you so much, the audience, for listening to us. I also want to thank URA for honoring and respecting this gathering. We hope to engage more and more. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. I want to thank God for this opportunity. I thank my sister, my president. Thank you all the audience. And I want to thank URA. But DFCU, you have an issue. It's that we didn't have time. I should have asked you. The one I gave you is that SACCOS and VSLA is taking over banking. So I don't know where you're going to be. Thank you very much. God bless everyone.
Thank you very much, International Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Uganda Revenue Authority, for this great opportunity to interface with you. I still believe that when tax education is a critical issue that should be addressed by URA, and also working on harmonious relationship with taxpayers. It is a good decision in that direction, because we still have potential taxable sources that can be tapped more. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you for inviting Siatini. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your participation. Remember, you have a right to demand for accountability. Let us think big. Let us go beyond Uganda, monitor what is happening at the regional level, international level, and let's engage actively. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our panelists. Give them a big hand clap as they step down. I would like to invite our member, Hajat Nuriat Nabiwande from Afroseed Trading Company, to give us a vote of thanks as members prepare themselves for our group photo, which we will have over there. Please welcome Hajati.
Thank you. And the President, Uganda National Chamber of Commerce, members of the board present, the representatives of the Commissioner General, out of the room.
Using it as a camera, not taking this.
Okay, Beatrice are there. Okay, and the entire URA team, our sponsors that have made us comfortable today here. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow business members, and members of Uganda National Chamber of Commerce, good afternoon. I'm really honored to talk last. It's the one who talks last loves best. I hope I will. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, mine is really a simple job to thank the team that has been here with us today and the organizers of this interaction. Sincerely, I think we need more engagements. We need more engagement with the taxpayers. We need more engagement with the other service bodies that facilitate our businesses. Yes, you invest and you want to earn profits, but you will not earn profits when you are not at par with the tax body. You are not part with the URSB. You've not registered your company, and all the other facilitating agents. So such interactions are very important for us, and I really want to thank the National Chamber of Commerce. I'll give you a story and how I had to learn about this engagement. We have a forum where Chamber of Commerce and UNDP took us to Ghana as women entrepreneurs. And I was busy shouting about URA, asking me to pay tax on 4 batiks a friend sent me from Ghana. 4 batiks. The tax officer even didn't know about the Ghana cedis. So she was asking, what is this currency? So I had to tell her that these are Ghana cedis. And then she was saying, you have to pay. These are 4. This is the amount in dollars. And I said, but you didn't know about the cedis. And you're telling me this is, this amount of dollars. I'm not sure whether you really understand what you're saying, but I don't think I have to pay. These are presents. This is Christmas season. Somebody just sent me this. So we had some engagement, but finally we had to come to terms and she had to let me go. But because I was a little bit at least I tried to explain and stood my case. These were all clothes that were really fitting me, and I thought that these are things that fit me. I'm not going to even sell, and they're in one quantity of each. So So finally we agreed and she accepted, but I had to share the what? My experience with the colleagues on the what? On the forum. And that's, oh, we are going to engage with URA, and it has come to reality, and I'm really happy and excited. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, I believe everyone has learned something. For me, my takeaway is the remission. I didn't know about the duty remissions. And sincerely, we suffer. You go and somebody charges you, the clearing agents. They will tell you and you pay money you don't even know whether it's reaching URA or not. Sometimes they don't even give you the receipts. I have misplaced the receipts, but you've got your things, you go. When they didn't pay back, for you've been charged. So I think we really need more of this. And I'm hoping that we will not fear the tax people, as the board member said, that we fear you. So when you come out and at least explain, we really what? We are really very happy. And Madam Hafsa has a lot of, I think, kudos in terms of educating us. So ladies and gentlemen, in the presentation of UNSC, they talked about advocacy, and I think these are some of the advocacy forums. And when invited, at least we'll continue coming. And on a final note, I want to say that I don't see what? See reason why I should not be paying my membership. I'm not like the ones who are talking about the potholes. For us, we are getting value. We went to Nigeria. There are a lot of opportunities that the chamber is always telling us, opening us opportunities. They told us, I think in April there is German and others. So for us at chamber, at least we are what? We are benefiting and we are happy. And with those few words, oh, there's one thing I wanted to ask and I didn't get the microphone. Since I have it, URA. For me, I don't even have, I'm not in real estate. I don't even have a Kazigo to rent. But I keep getting messages, pay your rental tax. You become like, what? KCCA. You are in your home and they're asking you for ground rent. Now you are rent quarterly. How does that come about? I don't have it. But they tell me, I even showed one to your PRO because I got it today. I delete, but it's an inconvenience. Yeah. So with those very, very many words, I really want to wish everyone a happy afternoon and safe journey as you go back. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause. So mine is simple, is to invite us in front here for the photo moment. As the camera men and ladies get ready. So members, camera, I don't know if we're ready, you can organize the setup. We are basically done. I just have one final submission. This has shown us that we need to have more of these. More of these, I'm sure our chamber is ready for it. I also hope you are ready. You can move as I submit, it's very informal. So, the powers that be, let us please act accordingly and for God and my country. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. There's someone who has dropped their national ID. Hello? I've been informed there's someone who has dropped their national ID, original copy. So please, on your way out, check on the.
Can we have our guests from URA and the president and our panelists? Panelists, our guests from URA, Madam President,